That's what started this conversation. As Deanna said, we need to have a credit card policy, and I've read the minutes before, and it's came up before. That would be the question to the commission. Why don't we have a credit card policy?
Would you like to take an hour or so and let me tell you what the commission has been doing?
I do give the commission credit for doing things.
We do what we do, supposed to be 16 hours a week. If you think that the credit card policy is the only piece of the puzzle that was missing when I took office,
I don't think so.
I know in the past, David, you gave me a 3 to 6 month mandate to get the wheels back on the wagon. Well, the wheels were so far off the wagon.
Now, while you're sitting there saying that, talk to the commissioner sitting next to you and blame them. I see a commissioner over here. No, hold on. You want to make excuses that the commission hasn't done anything and that the wheels were off the wagon. You're sitting next to two commissioners that have been here longer than you. Then I would ask those commissioners, what's the reason that the wheels have been off the wagon, Mr. Mays? You've been in power here 6 years? How many years? But Dan, if you're going to lay blame, let's lay it.
I'm not, two things I am not going to do and I will not tolerate in this room. I'm not blaming anybody.
Okay.
And I'm not making excuses. I can do nothing about what took place prior to January 1st, 2011.
And nobody's asked you
And
to.
if I sit here and said, Matt, you are a worthless commissioner because of the way that's not the way I feel. But would that accomplish anything?
And Dan, did I say that? I didn't say they were worthless, but when you threw out that you've taken over and the wheels were off the bus, me, and I don't know if any of the other taxpayers out here would say, okay, we've got two commissioners that were here way before January 1st, okay? So, and two commissioners can get things done. What's the reason that things have gotten so far out of hand? And that's the reason people are here today. You know, we want things. We're not here to pick on you. We're not here to pick on Matt. We're not here to pick on Deanna, Leah. We're not here to pick on anybody. We're here to say, hey, we want the normal policies and accountability for the tax-paying citizens of Lincoln County. That's all we want. We're not here for a mandate. We're not here to pick on you. We're here to go, hey, we're concerned because we see issues. We see the auditor getting picked on, and then when it's brought up to say, hey, we want a policy, well then, you know, we've all agreed. We've wasted a half an hour to an hour talking about things that a policy would fix, and it was even recommended. The state of Missouri has one, and I take to heart, you said the county's different, but at least you have a template where there's 100 and how many, 14 counties in Missouri? Surely you know enough other commissioners or clerks or whatever that we can't say, hey, could you send over your policy so we can mimic it? I don't want you working yourself to death, nor do I want anybody else working themselves to death.
I think the issue is the whole cliche when you have bigger fish to fry sometimes, and it's a matter of whether you need to get out and weed the garden.
Leah, that's a bad excuse because we're talking about taxpayer dollars, whether it's a penny.
That's correct, but I'm saying if you need to weed your garden or your house is on fire, what are you going to do?
Okay, Clayton, you have the floor.
Well, I'm not throwing any stones, but that's not the way we did it in the past. This is a whole new ballgame. We have an auditor. The auditor has to abide by the rules. We all have to abide by the rules. Let's forget about the past. You know, that's not the way we did it in the past. That's a poor excuse because it's a whole new ballgame. Some of them wanted to go to a second-class county, had no idea what they were getting into. Auditor. And they don't like being questioned. And I hear on the street, I'm sorry.
We knew we were going to have an auditor when we went
Oh, okay. Are you happy? Never mind. You know, I don't, you know.
No,
it's not working real good.
That's right.
Because the auditor has to ask questions.
Right.
Accountability.
Okay, Clayton, here's the situation. It's the auditor's job to question things.
Right.
But the auditor has to operate within the statute.
Right.
And the elected officials get their hackles up when they realize that the privileges, the responsibilities that they had delineated in Judge Mobley's decision, in their mind, are being infringed upon. Mike, can I pick on you?
You gotta have that all day. Go ahead.
Do you feel like Judge Mobley's decision granted you rights and responsibilities? It outlined some of the rules.
It definitely outlines
Okay.
the rules, yes.
Do you feel like anything that's taken place since the first of the year has infringed upon any of those rights? Or attempted to?
The only one that I can come to right now, and Deanna and I have had many talks, and actually we get along very well, which surprises me, but is the purchasing policy that we have in place.
Right.
And
It's
there
not quite
again,
in place.
okay, all right, well, I was told it was. So anyway, the thing about that policy is that I am given so much money, and it's getting smaller and smaller every year. But now the commission is going to limit me to where I can buy stuff from, which actually, and I've proven, is gonna cost me more money than buying from where I do. That has infringed on me, yes. Other than that, I can't think of a whole lot that has, except for interest charges and all that, which we can't.
We've had multitudinous conversations about the whole concept of gross appropriation. have
Oh,
we
yeah,
not?
definitely, definitely. It hasn't affected me yet, that I know of, at least. It's about to, from what I understand, with my forfeiture money. Unless the budget is opened and that is added to it, I can't spend it until it's in the budget. Or I have to take it out of another part of my budget, which we've worked it out that I think that's what I'm going to do. And then whenever the budget is decided to be open, that will be added to as a revenue, which will then offset my expense that was actually offset off another account.
My problem is, we keep going back, well, that's not the way we did it in the past.
Have you heard
It's a
that out of
whole-
my mouth, Clayton?
No, but on the street, everybody's talking about, because somebody said this and it's a whole new ballgame. Let's get this behind it. We're not helping our county by arguing about bills or this or that. We need to start working together instead of fighting each other.
You're right about that.
You won't get any
Yeah,
argument from
completely
me,
agree with
Clayton.
that.
You won't get any argument from me, because if you recall what I just said, I have no control over what happened prior to January 1st, 2011.
But then let's quit talking about it.
I'm not the one that keeps bringing it up, Clayton,
You said it about 4 times this morning,
because it was thrown up to me
about,
about the things prior. I'm not the one who said, hey, these two guys.
no, prior to that, about 4 times you have mentioned, well, that's not the way we've done it in the past. I mean, it's just a conversation piece. Doesn't mean anything, but it's being done. We need to think
When I
about the
speak of the
future.
past, Clayton, I only speak about what's happened since January. And I don't know if I've used the phrase, that's not the way we've done it in the past.
So let's move forward. Let's quit fighting and move forward. That's all I'm saying, for the benefit of everybody. And if there's a problem, let's bring it out. Let's put it in the paper if that's what it needs, instead of just arguing amongst ourselves.
You'll get no argument from me, Clayton.
Good. You know what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Well, moving on.
No, hold on a second.
When I first came in here, we were talking quite seriously about the bills being from Visa being given to us on a certain date. And if we want to avoid a finance charge, we have to pay them by another date, so many days later. So you came up with a way you're going to shuttle the check to the bank and that'd save yourself a week maybe. Now we're sitting here talking, well, if we don't get the bills, the statements from the credit card, electronically they go straight from the pump to the credit card place. If the individual is on a week or a 2-week trip, is he going to come home to give you the statements? You really need a policy that somehow, yes, when Visa submits them, you're going to pay them. And you need a policy that says, but we will give the users so many days to reconcile. In other words, you get the statements in so we can balance it. That's one of the things this policy has to do.
Absolutely.
You can't get the statements from the user, credit card users, in time to pay them without getting a finance charge. Couple the two problems together, and write yourself a policy that says, okay, we'll pay the bills when Visa submits them. But we're gonna take that employee, whether he's an elected citizen or a designee of an elected citizen, we'll pay those bills, and then we'll give them so many days to reconcile. Okay?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
that's right, that's,
what are we arguing about?
Clayton,
One other thing, maybe instead of the 3 commissioners or the elected officials, would it be possible to have an advisory board to take some of that off your all's shoulders?
very possible,
I mean, I'm just, you know,
very possible.
that way you guys aren't catching all the blame or any elected official.
Right. but
You have an
here's-
advisory board
Here's where you have an advisory board.
to discuss.
But then I get the recommendation, in the first place, I have to take that, is to the attorney. And here's where our problem is. This county has an attorney. This county has paid money to an outside attorney. And we have to make our decisions based on the legal advice we get. Do you agree that that's sound business practice? Okay, we actually have probably 4 or 5 attorneys that we have consulted with to make sure that the decisions we are making are within the statute. The problem where we run into this, we have your advisory board. You know, I say, Clayton, get me an advisory board, bring me this template. You bring me the template, I take it to the attorney, and the attorney says, well, we need to change this, 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 and this. Okay, we change that. The problem is, if people don't like what the attorney has to say, they plant their feet and don't want to abide by it.
Should the attorney not be there when the advisory board and you all are discussing
Yeah,
it?
that's fine too.
And that way everybody
But I'll
is
tell
coming
you what
up.
happens, Clayton. I can't even begin to tell you the things that we have said. We need legal clarification for this. We do a couple things. Somebody calls a private attorney, somebody calls Leah, I call the Missouri Association of Counties Attorney. They all 3 reach a consensus. They say, here's what you need to do. We bring it to the auditor, and she says, I don't like it. I'm not going to do it that way, and gets her own attorney.
Right now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna write this policy. We're going to get together as a group, the 3 of us. We can sit around today and talk about this till the cows come home. David, you're exactly right. Everybody has to be accountable for money. To say that I don't care about being accountable for taxpayer money is wrong. You do not know me a drop, if that's the truth.
I'd never accused you of that, but I'm just saying.
To try to buttonhole this whole problem into a regular business philosophy, it's different than running a print shop. It's different than running a restaurant. It's just, it is different because there's
Not from an
different
accounting
rules.
standpoint. I understand there's
understand.
Matt, I understand there's different rules because of the elected official and statutes. But when it comes to accounting,
I got it. I don't even want to, you can keep talking about it if you want, that's fine, I mean, I don't cut you off. I'm just saying, right now, from this meeting, we need to have a policy. We talked about having a policy, period. We talked, and it's just, an advisory board, of course, maybe that's what we need to have. Maybe that is exactly what we need to have. That could be a way of the future where we could actually include more people in stuff. Are we gonna do what the advisory board tells us all the time?
well,
I don't know. Couldn't tell you because I don't know what they're gonna say yet.
Dan, this was-
I think
Talk about it, you know.
I think that Fred said the most profound thing I've heard today. Very, very simple issue. We have a policy, and in a nutshell, elected official, you or whoever you give this credit card to, you have a time frame in which, you know, the bit you present it for payment, the law says we have to pay it. In exchange for that privilege, you have the responsibility, you have a window, ideally beforehand. But like your transport guys, they're chasing prisoners, they're all over, they're sleeping in hotels, this and that, lose a gas receipt. You have 7 days, 10 days,